Alrighty, so finally I get a chance to do a News of the Week episode after, for the past couple of days I haven't been able to do it because there's been World Cup games, and as I mentioned earlier, today there's going to be a 2 day break from the World Cup before we get to the quarterfinal, which gives me a chance to do a News of the Week episode and also do the Moving Forward series episode again. And yes, it's been a while since I've done a Moving Forward series, but I'm still doing it, and I'm hoping to finish this soon because I know I have to do the season preview before the season starts in late February. But that being said, in terms of some of these news, I'm going to go over it relatively quickly in some of these because some of them aren't really old news, but more like just kind of a confirmation. And one of them is the Columbus Group. They have officially hired Wilfred Nancy as their new head coach. Again, I'm not going to mention too much of this because we all knew for the past couple of weeks that this was going to happen. I mean, it wasn't if this was going to happen, but when exactly this is going to happen. And it finally happened that Wilfred Nancy is the new head coach of the Columbus Crew, and hence that's also the reason why usually when I do a video talking about head coach being hired, I do like a single video. But since this has been rumored for so many times, I've mentioned it many times in the News of the Week episode, I'm not going to kind of talk about how I think this is definitely a great upgrade for the Columbus Group, because we know what Wilfred Nancy has done to that Montreal team, got the best out of the team, and with this Columbus team, and a team that, the only reason why they didn't make it to the playoffs, or at least one of the biggest reason, is Caleb Porter holding them back because of bad tactics and them blowing multiple leads, which I'm pretty sure Wilfred Nancy is not going to make that happen when he takes charge of this team. Now, another news that is kind of old news, but it's kind of a confirmation, is that the Portland Timbers have officially signed Evander as a DP, and they signed him for around $10 million. And again, we mentioned how good that signing is for the Timbers, especially needing a number 10 desperately. And that, this of course is confirmed that he has now joined the Timbers. Now, moving on in the next news, we talk about Montreal and how they continue to kind of have a fire sale right now. They have announced that they have sold Ishmael Kone to Watford, and they also announced that they have sold Alistair Johnston to Celtics. Now, the Alistair Johnston news isn't really new news because throughout the World Cup there was rumor that he was going to go to Celtic, and it seems like it is now confirmed. But the Ishmael Kone rumors, it's kind of relatively fresh in that there was a multiple club that were looking to try to get Ishmael Kone, and it seems like Watford is the club that wins the sweepstake. And yeah, I think it's a good destination for Ishmael Kone to have, Watford being in the championship. And we've seen before where MLS players have gone to the English championship and they have found themselves success, and I think Kone is going to do the same thing. And as for Alistair Johnston, these two are really the future of the Canadian national team. And with one joining a league that has, as I said, has been a league that players have gone to and find success, and now also Alistair Johnston joining a Scottish giant like Celtics and get a chance to play Champions League soccer at times. I think this is a good move for both of these guys. And Montreal, of course, even made some big profit out of that, and that's going to be a big discussion as we'll talk about Montreal next season, of the fact that yes, it's great that they have sold off their main asset, but now the big question is, are they going to reinvest it? And I know there's a lot of Montreal fans are going to say probably not, because knowing the ownership and knowing who's owned the team in Joey Saputo, he's never been a guy that has been able to reinvest in a way to able to restock this team, to make sure even when they lose some of those key guys, they're still able to get some new players to replace him. And that would be a big concern, because it's one thing to sell off your pieces, but when you don't reinvest and able to find some replacement, that could be a problem for Montreal heading into next season. And I already know that there are some people who are saying that not only Montreal is going to take a step back, but it could be a huge step back, because they've sold off a lot of their key pieces, probably right at just as big as when New England took a big fall from grace last season. And that even that New England didn't really sold too many key pieces. I mean, they sold some key pieces, but not like every single one like what Montreal is doing right now. Now, speaking of selling off pieces, Orlando City also sold off one of their biggest asset in João Moutinho, who is going to be going to Serie A Spezia. Now, I haven't heard exactly what the transfer fee of this. I don't think it's going to be a lot, and that would be devastating if you're Orlando City, because João Moutinho, we mentioned how much he means to this team in the fullback position, and I would argue he's one of the best, if not the best, fullbacks in the league. And that, yeah, there was always a sense that he was going to be going back to Europe, and that he was going to join a team there. But yeah, the fact that they didn't really get a lot out of that, Orlando City fans will be a little bit disappointed. But I wish João Moutinho the best, joining a club that is Spezia, who they're definitely in the relegation scrap right now, and we'll see how that's going to turn out, because we have seen MLS players have joined Serie A team that is kind of the relegation scrap, and I haven't heard a lot about that ever since. So it's a bit risky, but we'll see whether or not if João Moutinho is going to do well with Spezia, and hope that maybe he was going to be part of the team that is not going to be relegated from Serie A this season. Now, speaking of Orlando City, they also sold off one of their pieces in Andrea Pereira to the Philadelphia Union in exchange for $850,000 general allocation money. And it's a shame that Pereira eventually kind of fell out of favor in Oscar Pereira team. I mean, I remember how, a couple years he was the real deal. Like, this was a guy that was on the cusp to break into the U.S. men's national team. He even was part of the U23 team that unfortunately weren't able to make it to the Olympics in 2024. And there's a lot of potential that he could be a very good player. And I think going to the Union, a place that we know this is a team that has done very well in terms of developing young American player, I think this is the best possible move for Andre Pereira, and especially with him especially with the way that he was not gonna, if he's gonna continue to try to get himself back to the national team picture, Orlando City is not the destination with him falling out of favorite. So yeah, we'll see whether if he's gonna get regular minutes with the Union, and not to mention being the team that is going to most likely be a very competitive team once again next season in MLS. Now, the New England Revolution have signed Bobby Wood off of the re-entry draft, and this is probably the most Bruce Arena kind of move as possible, because Bruce Arena loved to sign some of his former U.S. men's national team player. I mean, he already did it with Sebastian Lletget. Now it seems like he's doing it with Bobby Wood, and I was kind of surprised that RSL decided not to retain Bobby Wood, because I thought Bobby Wood, before he got injured, he was definitely the real deal, and that I think for the Revs, knowing the fact that they still need to find a decent number 9, because there's still a question whether or not if Aroni is gonna be that guy. I think Bobby Wood, he would definitely do well for this Revs team, and if he can just stay healthy this time, I think he could have a decent season. Now, the Houston Dynamo have signed forward Ifeanyi Achara off of the re-entry draft, and again, this is another strange one. The Dynamo has made some interesting move, but also kind of a head-scratcher move when it comes to signing guys off of free agency and re-entry draft, because Achara is a guy that I know a lot of TFC fans does not like, and he really struggle in a way where he never really kind of reached to his potential. So going to the Houston Dynamo is definitely not a way to try to maybe get yourself back on track of the potential you have. But we'll see whether or not if this is the case, and at least maybe he'll get more minutes now that again he really also kind of fell out of favor with TFC because of the way that he has problem in terms of being a goal scorer like what he was supposed to be when he came into the league. Now, moving on, we got Minnesota United signing Clint Irwin off of free agency, and this is clearly the Tyler Miller replacement. I mean, I'm still kind of a little bit devastated that the Loons didn't get anything for Tyler Miller and let him go off of free agency. I mean, I feel like they could have easily got something off of him, but I don't think this is a bad replacement. Clint Irwin has been a veteran in this league, and definitely a good, decent backup goalkeeper in case Dane Sinclair get injured this season. And that, again, I know some Loons fans are hoping that, well, why don't we give Fred Iman a chance being the understudy of Dane Sinclair. I mean, they could. I mean, I think eventually that it will get to that point, but I think it may be a little bit too early, and that again they always need to find a decent replacement for Tyler Miller, and I think Clint Irvin is definitely a decent backup option. Now, DC United have signed Iraqi international left back Mohamed Jahazi. I think that's how you pronounce. Now, I don't know much about this guy other than the fact that I've heard that he's a decent left back and that this could be a good signing for DC. And I think I'll trust the fact that he's going to help out this team, and especially getting a decent left back in this league is not very easy thing. In fact, well, that's one of the toughest position to try to get it right. So if this signing turns out to be well, at least that's one position that they addressed it. Now they need to address like 9 other positions that this DC team still need to address in amidst of a deep rebuild that it seems like they're going through. Now, FC Dallas have signed LAFC defender Sebastian Ibiaga off a free agency, and this I think is a decent signing for Dallas because it was pretty clear that Ibiaga, it was kind of interesting that he decided to go to LAFC because there was already some good depth pieces in the defensive area, and it's not surprised he didn't really get a lot of minutes. And knowing the fact that he wants a club that maybe will give him more minutes, it was no surprise that LAFC let him go. And I think joining Dallas, a team that is also on the rise, is definitely going to be decent. I mean, in some way, Ibiaga kind of fell into the same problem that Ismail Tajuri Shradi kind of had, where, they were joining LAFC hoping that maybe they'll be joining a competitive team, but also able to get a chance to get some minutes, and that just not seems to be the case. But at least in Ibiaga's case, at least he's joining an FC Dallas team that, like I said, this is definitely a good Dallas team, and I expect them to be competitive again in this season where they make the playoffs. That's not a fluke. They're going to make it the playoffs and look like a playoff team again next season. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and now talk about some transfer rumors. So there's a report suggesting that Charlotte FC have reached agreement with Argentine forward Enzo Copete from Racing Club. Now, it seems like Charlotte decided to take a page out of Atlanta's book with the way that they're now looking to go down to South America and sign some Argentine player. And especially, I've heard that there's a lot of good things about this kid, and that this is just, again, it feels like a very Atlanta United kind of signing. If Atlanta would have got him a guy that is a young South American player that they hope that they can develop, eventually ship him off to overseas. But in Charlotte case, this is kind of interesting with the way that I wonder will Christian Latanzio decided to go with a 2-striker system next season, because they've already got Shraderski, and they also got Rios in that spot. So I'm guessing like they now have three decent number 9 in that spot. I mean, I have seen this year that Shraderski has been playing more in that number 10 role, so maybe we'll see Rios and Copete in that spot. But either way, I mean, I guess number 9 position, 4 position is one of the needs for Charlotte, because last season there were times that they have struggled to score goals, but a lot of that has to be in the beginning of the season. As the season goes along, it looked like Daniel Rios kind of took it to another level, and finally it seems like Charlotte have figured out that number 9 spot. And even Shraderski at times has done well putting the ball into the back of the net. So I don't know if forward was one position that they need to figure out, but at least from what I heard, a big kind of signing like this, a very young South American player that could do well in this league, I think this is a decent signing, and that I heard it could be a big amount too, because it's not always cheap to try to sign some of these young South American players, especially Argentine player from a big club like Racing Club. So yeah, I expect this could be a DP signing too, which if that's the case, then I'm assuming he's going to be a regular starter, because you don't sign a designated player just to bench him and so forth. Now, the Vancouver Whitecaps is interest in Uruguayan center back Matias Labardi from Nacional, and again, this is another one of those kind of rumor with guys in South America that could be a hidden gem and come to MLS and develop to a career where he can sell off for a big amount. And the Whitecaps are trying to do the same thing, although again, I don't know a lot about this kid. I heard there's some potential that he could be good, but we'll see whether or not if it, of course, would work out. Because, when you look at this Whitecaps team, the defense, last season, it was a hit and miss. There's times where they were good, and then there's time where they were just absolutely horrendous. So we'll see whether if this, of course, would help out this Whitecaps defense. Speaking of center back, Fenerbahce is rumored to be targeting Montreal center back Joel Waterman. So, the Montreal Fires continue with the way that they already sold two of their most important pieces, and now one of the upcoming player in that defensive area, Joel Waterman, looks like he's going to be the next one to be going to Europe. And if that is the case, then yeah, I think Fenerbahce, again, I think it's a good club for him to join, but we'll see how much the amount it is. And again, for Montreal, it's good that you, of course, are able to make a lot of profit out of that. But the fact that you're really stripping your team down to the bone, and that I haven't heard a lot of reports of how they're going to reinvest that and maybe replace some of those guys that they lost, that could be a little bit of a concern. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next news, and now moving back to talk about news that is unrelated to transfer rumors and signing, is MLS have announced that they have put some sanction on the LA Galaxy after violating the salary budget with fines of $1 million and a loss of $1 million of future general allocation money. They also have suspended their president, Chris Klein, to the end of the primary transfer window, which I'm pretty sure a lot of Galaxy fans are probably celebrating right now, because Chris Klein is pretty much the most hated man right now in Carson. But yeah, I mean, the MLS it has gone wild. That now it seems like they're started to go after the LA Galaxy, because for a long time there's always this narrative the Galaxy can get away with some of the rules and stuff like that. Well, it seems like it probably have kind of caught up to them, and that MLS was kind of having none of it. And I'm pretty sure Inter Miami fans are probably celebrating right now, knowing the fact that, hey, this just proved that maybe we're not the victim complex in terms of are breaking the rules, and it seems like now the other team is doing the same thing. And if that is the case, I wonder, maybe this might be a kind of watershed moment that now you can't just get away with that, even if you are a big club, because for a while, as I said, the Galaxy has always got away with this stuff, and that now they didn't get away with it. Maybe MLS is setting a bigger standard that every team needs to follow the salary budget and also the roster rules that MLS strictly put in place. Now, there's also a sources saying that Greg Berhalter is set for a new U.S. men's national team contract, and it looks like he is going to be staying with the national team. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of Berhalter hater and a lot of Berhalter out folks that are going to be absolutely livid about this news. But again, after seeing this U.S. men's national team, I mean, I can understand why some people might not like Berhalter and feel like we need to move on from him and need a new head coach. But at the same time, some of the things that he's done in this World Cup, I applaud him for what he did. I mean, he has got the tactics right at times, especially in the first half, where they've done very well. And also the lineup selection has been mostly decent, but obviously I know there's going to be a lot of people pointing out the second half problem, and also the game against the Netherlands, where he was basically getting out coached by Louis van Gaal. So yeah, again, it's a very, very mixed kind of resort if he is going to get a new contract. And again, we're still 4 years away from the 2026 World Cup. I think there's still a lot that could change. The U.S. could maybe think about bringing a new head coach. And again, if things doesn't go well with Greg Berhalter, I can see that maybe the U.S. Soccer Federation could be moving on to a new head coach. So just because he is in contract talk doesn't mean the fact that he's going to be the next head coach of this team through to the 2026 World Cup. So for those that are kind of panicking the fact that, oh great, we're going to suffer another World Cup where Greg Berhalter has to take charge of this team in the next edition, just calm your jet. We're not at that point just yet. But now moving on into the last news of the week is Copa America 2024. So there's been a lot of rumors that the U.S. and Canada could be be joining the Copa America again, and it seems like now the rumors is getting louder with the way that the U.S., Mexico, and Canada are all going to be joining in Copa America as invitee, just like what we saw in the Copa America Centenario back in 2016, and also just like the Copa America Centenario, it seems like the Copa America could be coming back to the U.S. After it was reported that Ecuador looked like they're going to pull out of being the host nation in the 2024 edition. And this is not a big surprise because I have a feeling CONMEBOL are starting to see that, well, what is a great way to make some money, and what is a great way to basically really kind of, well, just make some money and kind of boost the rating. Why not let's host some of these games in the US? And there is definitely a good side and a downside. The fact that Copa America is taking place in the US. The good side is that you get to watch more competitive kind of soccer between all these South American teams, because I remember in Copa America Centenario back in 2016, I absolutely had a blast. I have attended a couple of games, and I absolutely had a blast when I went to that game between Argentina versus Chile, and especially the atmosphere was something just unbelievable. So to get a chance to experience that once again in 2024, and not to mention, I think this could be a good kind of just kind of almost a dress rehearsal in terms of the 2026 World Cup that the U.S. is going to be hosting. I think it would be good that the tournament, of course, could be hosting that, and it'll also be interesting to see whether those venues that the Copa America 2024 is going to be similar to the ones that will host the World Cup in 2026. Now, the downside of this is that, once again, it feels like CONMEBOL is starting to go with the CONCACAF kind of method, where, we're just going to throw tradition out of the window now and just say it's all about the money now. We know that the hosting Copa America in the U.S. is where the money is going to be, and especially, when you look at the one tournament in 2016, ticket prices were very expensive for some of these games, like something like $200-$300, and back in 2016, that is really expensive. Like if it is today's money, I would say that would be maybe twice as expensive as it is. So again, it's kind of frustrated the fact that some people might be priced out because of this, just because CONMEBOL wants to have that lust of, we need more money, and we can definitely earn more money if we host it in the U.S. compared to we usually host it in these nations. And the other thing that I think could be a problem is that, again, it's tradition, and it's also the fact that a lot of things that maybe worry what CONMEBOL might done with all these nation in South America is that now they're going to try to make this as a permanent thing, and that was a concern in the 2016 Centenario, where a lot of those fans in South America, they're worried that is one of our most superior competition is now going to be moving to the U.S., and that's going to be permanently, and we don't even get to see it in person unless we fly to the U.S. Because keep in mind, those hardcore South American fans, most of them don't have that money to fly to the U.S. to watch their national team play. So again, I can understand. And again, it's the whole pricing out kind of thing that is a huge negative of why Copa America it could be potentially go to the U.S. But other than that, I think this could be good for the U.S. The fact that they get to participate in Copa America again. Though again, the other thing that maybe is a disadvantage is that if the U.S. are going to go to the World Cup and have some success, they might need to try to play in games that could be some hostile environment in South America rather than playing on home soil, which I can understand that could be the case, but it's kind of technically a hostile environment, because I know most of the game that the U.S. have played in this Copa America Centenario in 2016, it wasn't majority American fans. There was a lot of fans. Like in that game when I went to between the U.S. and Colombia, I would say Colombia actually dominate the stands, and that there was a lot of yellow more than red, white, blue that I saw. So yeah. Either way, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video and all these news that I've mentioned here on the board. And as always, if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.